Hello and welcome back to the Basic Facts Today, let's talk desperate. The word desperate has origins in the Middle English and it means to despair. Now, synonyms of this word include words like hopeless, frantic, and anxious. But to truly understand this word, I will tell you a story of desperation that is so emotional. The frantic measures that was employed became a crime. In January 2015, 27-year-old Judge Pickering III, a young man with a history of seizures, suffered a massive stroke. He was rushed to Tomball Regional Medical Center in Houston, Texas, where he was admitted to the ICU and connected to tubes and beeping monitors. Some days later, while doctors were rounding the ward, they entered his room and declared him brain dead. And in a meeting with the Pickering family, doctors told them that George's brain activity had flatlined and, in their words, he was brain dead. They recommended a terminal wean, which is a gradual process of taking him off life support. But Judge Pickering II, the father, he refused to accept it. He was not ready to say goodbye to his son. Family members tried to reason with him. Doctors explained the prognosis, telling him that his son's condition was irreversible. But Judge Senior was having none of that thought to take his son off life support. He firmly believed that his son could still hear and could still fight and could still come back. If only I could have 3 or 4 more hours that night, I would know whether my son was really gone or not, he said. Because what doctors saw as flat lines on the monitor, Judge Pickering II saw as flickers of hope. He felt his son could still hear that somewhere inside, his boy was still fighting. But things were happening all too fast for him in the hospital, and that hope had begun turning into desperation. So, when medical staff moved towards withdrawing life support from Judge Pickering III, Judge Senior made a decision that changed everything. He reached for a pistol hidden in his waistband. Right there, inside the ICU, surrounded by machines and medical staff, this 59-year-old father pulled out a handgun and ordered everyone to stop. No one touches my son, he said. The hospital went into immediate lockdown. A code gray was called, securities rushed in, patients were evacuated, and police were called in. Police snipers positioned themselves outside the hospital window. A standoff had begun, but this one was not the usual standoff between a criminal versus the law. This was between a father's grief versus medical protocol. This was chaos, emotional chaos. Police tried to talk him down, but he kept saying the hospital was wrong, they were not listening to him, that his son was still in there somewhere. His other son, Eric Pickering, who was also there, tried to mediate between his father and the SWAT officers outside. He tried to reason with his father. Later, Eric had said something simple yet powerful. He just wanted time to see if my brother was really gone. Then, amidst all the commotion, something happened that no one expected. During the tense standoff, Judge Senior whispered to his son, "If you can hear me, give me a sign." He wanted his son to give him a sign that would confirm that he was there as he believed he was. And just then, Judge Pickering III squeezed his father's hands. The unconscious patient had shown voluntary movement, a sign that showed the young man might not be brain dead after all. And doctors confirmed it. This wasn't just a reflex, it was voluntary movement. The same patient that had been declared brain dead had shown clear signs of life. In that moment, what had been seen as an act of madness now looked like a father's intuition or an act of fate. After hours of negotiation, police used a robot to draw back the curtains. But at this point, Judge Senior did not mind. He had confirmed signs of life in his son and he surrendered peacefully. No shots were fired, no one was injured. Judge Pickering II was arrested on charges of aggravated assault with deadly weapon and deadly conduct. Police also discovered that he had been drinking earlier that day, which could have exacerbated the crisis. Judge was booked and taken to jail. But the plot twist was that while he sat behind bars, his son, the same son that was declared brain dead, woke up. Doctors could not fully explain it. Judge Pickering III regained consciousness and began to speak and even walk again. Months later, when Judge Pickering II was released on bond, the first person waiting for him outside the courthouse was his son, the one everyone thought was gone. They hugged, and reporters captured this moment as their cameras flashed. Both father and son were in tears. Later, in interviews, Judge Senior admitted that what he did was dangerous and frightening and was wrong. "I broke the law, but they were moving too fast," he said, "and I knew my son was not gone." He served about a year in prison, but he said he would have done it all again if it meant saving his son. To him, this wasn't about defying doctors, it was about a father's instinct and the belief that sometimes love sees what science cannot. This case raises a tough question. When does a parent's right to decide end, and when does medical authority begin? Was George Sr. a reckless man with a gun or a desperate father fighting a system that was too quick to give up? Opinions have been split on this. While to some he is a hero, to others who have pointed out the grave danger of introducing a firearm into a hospital, he is a cautionary tale. But to his son, he is a father who refused to stop believing. And as Judge Pickering III later said in a brief interview, my father saved my life, and that's all I can say. If you would deny the humanity of the moment, a father watching the line between life and death blur and willing to risk everything for one more second with his son. Years later, this story still lingers in discussion about end of life care and patients' rights and reminds us how fragile the line between reason and desperation can be when love is involved. While Judge Senior's act was not noble in law, we cannot say it was malicious. It was born from love, from fear, and from hope colliding all at once. This case almost blurs the sense of right and wrong, but sometimes belief itself can be the last form of life support a person has. But I would truly like to know your thoughts on this. What do you think? Was the desperation justified, or did it go too far? Share your thoughts below in the comments. I would love to hear them. And don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe for more facts and stories. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.